claim on the insurance and be rid of it. The idea of anyone actually wanting to buy the old wreck had never occurred to her, and she was more than happy to let Pete have the keys for a couple of hours during his lunch break. Some work had already been done to convert Grace Mercy for cruising, but it looked as if the solicitor's cousin had either run out of money or died before they could complete the job. The hull appeared sound. Inside, she was just dirty and a bit moldy, lacking all but the most basic fixtures and fittings. Nothing a bit of elbow grease and a lick of paint wouldn't sort out. The engine was a monster, a Beta Greenline diesel rated for 50 brake horsepower, an engine for a much heavier boat. It was a ruin, but Pete knew engines, and he knew he could fix it. He took the keys back to the solicitor at her office in the city center and told her he was interested. He just had to have a chat to his wife. This, of course, was the insurmountable barrier, the immovable object. The figures worked out, just. They had some savings, a wedding present from his parents, only to be touched in the direst of emergencies, but already being chipped away, and a bit of equity in the flat. But in order to buy Grace Mercy, they'd have to sell the flat first, then live on board while they renovated the boat. And there was no way Angie would agree to that. And then one day, something so absurd happened that Pete could only liken it to winning the lottery. He was poking disconsolately about below decks one lunchtime, the memory of yet another evening's argument still painfully sharp, when he heard someone calling from the quayside. And when he went up to look, there was a plump, round man in an expensive suit standing there holding a briefcase. "Are you the owner?" asked the plump man. Pete shook his head regretfully, realizing as he did so that he was finally letting his dream bob away. "I wish," he said. "Do you know who the owner is?" "Yeah, I was going to buy it off her, but there's no way I could afford it." Then he found himself qualifying it to this complete stranger with, "Well, I could, just, but it's the wife." The plump man gave him a long, level look that Pete found quite unsettling, even though there seemed to be no malice behind it. "Is it just the money?" "Well, yeah, and the living on a boat, The plump man seemed to come to a decision. "May I come aboard?" he asked, looking dubiously down at Grace Mercy. "Knock yourself out. There's a ladder just along there." With some difficulty, the plump man managed to negotiate the ladder without dropping his briefcase into the water. He was breathing heavily when he finally made it down to the cockpit, but he immediately put out a hand and said, "I'm Alan Strang. Would it be any help to you if you had a sponsor?" "A what?" Angie asked that evening, when Pete told her of this turn of affairs. "He won't say who it is. Just someone with a lot of money who wants to help out local folk, like that charity that makes Kitty's dreams come true." "Kitty's is right," she snorted. "They'll give us the money to buy the boat and do her up," he said. "All they want in return is a trip on her every now and again, just to see how we're doing." Angie looked unconvinced. "All sounds a bit rum to me," she said. "It's just someone local who had a bit of luck and wants to spread it around," Pete said, almost literally beaming good thoughts at his wife. "Come on, Ange. We don't have to sell the flat. We can do the boat up at weekends and in spare minutes, and we can take her out on our holidays." Angie shook her head. "You're the one with all the spare minutes, sunshine, not me." But he could see her starting to waver, and over the next couple of weeks she wavered more and more, and finally they were sitting in a rented office with Alan Strang, signing some papers, and a month or so later, Grace Mercy was theirs. It took him almost 3 years to renovate the boat, at weekends and after work, spare stolen moments tinkering with the diesel and replacing bits and pieces and painting and sanding and painting again. Arthur and some of the old geezers wandered over from time to point out what he was doing wrong and generally make nuisances of themselves. Eventually, Angie started coming down to the basin when her shifts allowed. She'd taken one look at Grace Mercy the morning after he'd told her about Alan Strang's offer and said,